Well, this is part 2 of my climbing up to the Three Ponds area. I'm going to combine both these videos and films. They're about a month apart in the same video, and I'll probably explain that a little bit. But it was really rainy, and I had to sort of cut out early on my last trip here. So I've always intended to come back. Now, the parking lot for Three Ponds and climbing was really full. But there's another trail that some friends of mine shared with me that follows Brown Brook, which you can see behind me, and it has a couple of really pretty waterfalls. So it's actually a little bit of a shortcut since I'm getting a late start. You never want to start too late on these hikes where in the White Mountains, because the parking lots do have a tendency to fill up. But I could have probably pulled over to the grass somewhere. But knowing that there was a little trail here, although I'm not even sure it's named, but it's going to follow this brook up, and then it's going to hook up to the Mount Kino Trail, and then there's this little area called the Donkey Hill Cutoff. So there's a lot of really interesting ponds up here for fishing for brook trout. I was successful in catching a couple last time, so I'm looking forward to trying. It's mid-August, so I've brought some hoppers with me, and I'm going to try casting those hoppers out there and see how aggressive these little brook trout take them. And as you can see, there's 2 waterfalls on this trail, and it's kind of nice because the first one starts off with a nice waterfall, and I noticed there's a really neat little pool in that second waterfall. So it's very, very pretty. We've been getting plenty of rain. Obviously, it got rained out the last time I was here filming. So I guess I'm not disappointed that I'll be taking this trail up, since it's going to be following this brook for most of the way. It's a little overcast, cloudy, but it's supposed to be a beautiful day, and certainly the weather feels really nice for hiking. So also, it's not a very steep hike. I'm starting at 1,400 feet, so there's a big advantage in that, and I think I'm only going to be going up to like maybe 1,800 feet where the ponds are, so that's only a 400-foot elevation, even though overall the hike today will probably be, I don't know, like 2.2 miles up and back, and then of course me walking all around checking out the ponds and everything, so I'll probably put in easily 5 miles today. I told you there was a really nice pool just below this second waterfall, and you can really see how deep. I don't know, I mean, actually I don't know if you can see it or not, but you can see by the color how deep this pool is, and a little bit of that protective foam on the other side over there that the fish like to hang out underneath. This if I were just coming here just to do a little fly fishing, this could be this could be a pretty good spot. That's the road down there, and that's where my car, if you can see off to the left, is parked. And it looks like this brook is going to be Brown Brook, by the way. It looks like it's going to be cascading down the side here for a little while. Classic New Hampshire. Now, the Three Pond area is really known for its animal watching. So if you're, quiet and everything, you might be able to see, moose and stuff. So I just wanted to share with you that I'm keeping an eye out for tracks. And quite clearly, these are moose tracks. Don't look like the biggest of moose, but still moose tracks nonetheless. I was told this was a very popular Snowmobile Trail. And as you can see, there's really nice bridges and stuff built. Lots of signs letting the ski-mobilers know they're going to be approaching the bridges, so it's very well maintained. And as you can see from a fly fishing perspective, there's a lot of little interesting pools and bends on this stream as we continue to follow it up. Well, this is definitely a pool worth visiting on the way back down if I have time. And plenty of room for casting too. It's right here on the trail. It looks pretty deep. Definitely looks like something you just want to throw a couple of hoppers in. And you know there's got to be brook trout in these things. Certainly they were further up the stream. Okay, so we just came to the intersection with the Kino Trail. So this trail here, actually, with the yellow markers, would take us all the way back to the Three Pond official parking lot. This is the Snowmobile Trail that I just came up, and it was pretty easy. I mean, it's the width of a road, so very easy walking, not that stony or anything. And now we're on the actual Kino Trail, and as you can see, there's actually people coming down it. So it's good to run into folks. Okay, so this is the second waterfall, and the waterfall right off the trail, the Kino Trail. The trail is just right there, and as you can see, this water, the pool in this water does get higher at certain times because all the brush has been sort of cleared out around things. But that is still a very deep pool. Probably holds fish, although it's really hard to imagine fish getting up beyond that. But then again, they do, which is incredible. There's all these little nooks and crannies that they can hold out in. But we have caught brook trout further up, so they can certainly probably come down this when they're really little and then hang out for a while. So if we have time, we'll check it up on the way back. Okay, well, I've reached the intersection of Hubbard Brook Road. So I guess I've officially come 1.6 miles. So that's not such a bad hike. And I've got now what they call this Donkey Hill Cutoff, which will take me by all these beaver dams and things, and then intersect me with Three Ponds Trail in about 1.1 miles. The thing that was really interesting was, I'm not entirely sure. I know it's ski mobiles, but that's steel construction for a road, so no kidding. And I can see the Mount Kino Trail continues up over there the other way, so I'm going to be coming up to these beaver ponds and stuff pretty soon. Interesting to see the roads in here like this. Also, I noticed, let me walk over. It probably looks like a nice little pool. We'll check that out too. So I'm standing on this Hubbard Brook Bridge, and I'm going to be following this little trail up here, further up to where the ponds are. But as you can see, some of these pools are now starting to get pretty big up here, and definitely look like something that brook trout could survive in. Every once in a while you get these nice little cutouts, and you can see it's like sort of a marshy sort of area, and then you can see the beginning of like Mount Kino far away. It's also got some nice little breezes and stuff, so it's very comfortable. This trail is nicely maintained, or I guess it was recently maintained, but this is the Donkey Hill Trail. But it's not a popular trail, so you don't see a lot of use in it. But it does connect two important things. People that are coming down or going up to Mount Kino that want to go over to the shelter, to the White Mountain Shelter, or to check out the Three Ponds area. So this is a nice little cut off to allow you to do that, and I'm taking advantage of it. So what we're seeing right here is this isn't even one of the ponds. These are the well, I guess little water pond sort of areas that are maintained by the beavers. And it's just a perfect brook trout habitat up here. The water is nice and deep. It goes a long way. It goes way over there too. I just couldn't find a clear viewing angle to show it to you, but this spot right here is really perfect for that. So we have, I think that's Mount Kino that's up there. And once again, we're still on the Donkey Hill Trail. And I'll definitely have to make a point of coming back here and trying a few casts. This looks like a perfect area to throw a few hoppers into the water. Okay, so what I believe I'm looking at, since I'm still on the Donkey Hill path, is I think right up there between those trees is probably Upper Pond. And that little stream is cascading down into this area here, which is where I was down over there, where it meets up with Middle Pond, is where I was catching brook trout earlier. But this looks like a great place to go doing some fly casting, because the ground is relatively dry here, and you can probably even get a back cast in if you wanted to. Once again, there are brook trout here. They're not huge. I mean, they're your 5 and 6 inch type brook trout, but there's plenty of like timbers and things for them to hide under and scurry away from the birds and stuff. The water's probably a little lower now than it was a month or so ago, but what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to cross over, not here, but up on the trail. Well, I'll get onto 3 Pond Trail, and then I'm going to cross over, and I'll check up Upper Pond and see what that looks like as well. Well, let's hope this looks familiar. This is where I was catching the little brook trout earlier this summer or late spring, and it honestly, the water doesn't look like it's dropped at all. It could be that the Beaver Dam over here that I'm about to cross over has been reinforced. So we'll take a couple of shots, but over here you can start to see the beginning of the north end, I should say, of Middle Pond. And then up here shortly is Upper Pond, which I didn't make it to last time, because I figured, well, I better get some fishing in. And then of course realized I didn't have my camera gear. I actually just saw a rise over there. So, oh, look, there's another one, a couple of them. So this is definitely a good fishing spot. Keep in mind the fish are not big. So I don't use barbs on my hooks and, little baby brook trout. Although I probably shouldn't even call them babies, because maybe they just get to a certain size living in water like this. But nonetheless, native brook trout. Okay, here's a shot that I took earlier on my last visit of Middle Pond. As you can see, it's a beautiful day. Now, this is a pond that they do stock with brook trout via helicopter. I don't know if they're continuing that program, but whereas what you find in those little streams and stuff, and among the beaver dams and stuff, are likely native brook trout. In here, you're going to probably find a mix of brook trout that's native to New England, but also native to this area as well. And I didn't really get a chance to fish this last time because of the rain. And I don't know if I'll get a chance to fish it this time either. I didn't really bring my waders and boots and stuff to avoid the bloodsuckers. And it looks a little mucky and muddy. But, definitely, if you wanted to, I could probably wade around here pretty easily. It seems a little drier on the shores right now than it was before. And you could definitely get off a nice roll cast with a little mini back cast in some of these areas, if you walk around, because it looks like the grass sort of heads out sort of towards the pond. Keep in mind, though, that grass has got an awful lot of, it's really, it looks solid, but it's really like just a lot of big clumps and stuff. So it's not the easiest thing to go wading and walking through. Okay, so what we're looking at here, just a short walk from Middle Pond, is Upper Pond. And once again, this is the third pond. I understand they stock all three by helicopter. It's kind of hard to imagine. The first pond is really small, and I've actually never even visited it, maybe if we have time, but it's quite a breeze, and it's unfortunately coming right at me. But this is definitely an area where, there's a few spots where you could definitely get off some nice casts. Although I think probably my luck is going to be better suited. Although, the one thing about the wind is it always tends to float the bugs and things towards you. So the fish sometimes tend to be on this side more so than on the other. So, there's plus and minuses to all of that, right? But this is the path coming down, and there seems to be almost like a little camping area. I guess a legal one too, considering that there are some signs that say no camping unless, you're camping at the shelter, and no fires unless you're at the shelter. That's in between these two ponds. So, maybe you probably could even go camping here. Certainly you would get a nice breeze at night. That wind is really coming in. And I think that's Mount Kino off in the distance, if you can see that. Well, I'm going to take a break, get something to eat. Then I think I'll scout down a little lower down here on the pond. Oh, I just heard a rise. Something snapping at something. So I'll scout down here probably a little lower, and then we'll try some fishing and see if we have some fun. Okay, so this is the little stream that comes down between upper pond and lower pond. And there's a little bit of a babbling brook connecting the two. I understand there might be some big beaver dams up that way too, but the trail, there's really no trail up beyond that point. I see a couple little rises. And I did notice that there's some really small little fish in here. Could be like real little baby brook trout. So I'm going to try to do some fishing down by that pool where I had some success before, just to throw some hoppers in. Let's just see if they're biting, because we do know that there's brook trout there. At least we're hoping there's still some. And then perhaps maybe I should start exploring back down on that stream and give myself some time to head out. Or I could probably go down a little further on Middle Pond and see if there's a place. Yeah, there's been a pretty consistent rise right there, so it's kind of tempting. Although I also noticed that there seems to be some bubbles and stuff coming up from the water too, so that could just be swamp gas. Okay, so I'm out here on this little tiny beaver dam, and it has been recently reinforced. So the beavers are working, and that's why the water's nice and high. I've seen a couple of rises since I've been here, but there's one right straight out that way right there. So I don't know if I can cast that far with this little rod, because I'm trying so this is a Marvin hedge. Marvin hedges. It's a featherweight. It's only 6 feet. It's bamboo. It's a beautiful little rod. I've got this little rubber sort of imitation hopper, which I'm going to try out. I'm not really a big fan of these because I think they tend to spin the line a lot, and they don't go very well with the wind. But I'm going to try it and see how it works here. And the other thing I like about this is that it's very interesting. He had Hedden actually makes these rods. This is like a Hedden featherweight, but Marvin had them put on this special kind of thumb attachment that you can see here, and that's because he was a casting champion. And so even though this is a small rod, 6 feet, which is the smallest in the style and range that he resold for Hedden, it's still taking a 5-weight line. So it's a little rod. It's taking a pretty heavy line. So I should be able to get off a nice little roll cast. But also, because I'm on top of this beaver dam, I should be able to get a little bit of a back cast as well here. So let's check it out and let's see how this thing works, right? And let's see if there's any little brook trout willing to take a bite. Well, it makes nice little movement in the water. Let's get some line out. It actually moves a little too freely. I'd prefer that it have a little bit of a pull to it. You know, a little resistance in the water. Yeah, I see if I lift up my tip a little bit, I think I get a little more of an action there. Let's see if I can get a bit of a roll cast here too. Yeah, a little plop. So I noticed that the fish, I thought I saw one biting over here. So let's try for that. Ooh, I had a bite. We'll try again. I don't know, it could be this funny little rubber artificial hopper. Oh no. Well, so much for the backcast idea. Looks like I caught a branch. Okay, so that wasn't that bad of a catching a branch. I didn't even lose the hook. I was almost thinking like, yeah, maybe it's time to get rid of that little rubber thing anyway. I haven't even tried it out yet. Okay, let's get some line back out here. Seems like the fish go for it the minute it plops in. Yeah, I don't like the way I can move it. It doesn't give that nice little twitch like a deer hair hopper. I may have to switch back over. I think that's what this little pool's going to need, some lively action on these things. Oh, so I had a bite. It doesn't like the taste of rubber. Ooh. Might be just a little too big, this rubber lure thing. Well, these fish are too small. Oh, I think I got one. Ah, it got off. Yeah, these are small fish. That little rubber grasshopper is probably a little too big for these guys. Who knows? I'm certainly getting action. And I feel like I got the wind to my back a little bit, which is nice. Ugh. Ooh, right off the lily pad, like a little frog. Yeah, they're biting at it, but it's not hooking. So let me try changing that. I'm going to change that over. Okay, so this is a little more of a traditional hopper, if you can see that. And as you may notice I pinched the barb, and it's pretty sharp. You can always test that very quickly with a little bit of if it catches on your thumbnail. Also, it looks like I must have had a smaller fly tied on here at one time, so I'm just going to clip that little bit of fishing line off the back. I don't want any distractions. So let's try this. Let me get my little portable fishing fly stuff out of the way here. All right. And my feeling is that if they don't, I'm sure they'll probably bite at it, but if I'm not hooking them up, then, the conclusion is probably that they're a little small in this area. Also, it'll be kind of interesting to see how this casts and how it compares to, see, there's a little more action when you pop it. I don't know if you can see that. A little popping action. All right, so let me get some line out. Oh, I see a nice rise off in the distance. I want to try over there. Starting to get in that range. Oh boy, it pops when it comes out of the water. All right, so that's where I was before. I might have some small little beetles also in my fly thing that I can try. See, I like the little pop action. It's like a grasshopper that's landed in the water and realizes he's got to swim to get out. It's pretty effective in a bass stream, I'll tell you that. The wind is all curling all around here. It's a big fly for a little rod. That line's getting tangled up in the Beaver Dam. Now they're not even going for this. They were going for the fake little rubber one. Isn't that interesting, huh? That's it casts a little further out, I think, though. And there were fish right there, too. Right by the little lily pod. Well, I don't want to give up on this hopper. So let me try and see if I can find a few different angles here. I remember the fish were kind of close to shore over there. And they usually just go right a minute after you drop it in. As you can see, I'm just sort of just scouting the area. Right next to that little pile of brush. How about right close to me? Sometimes you ignore the things that are easy. You see how the little hopper just sort of moves across the surface there. Ooh, that was a good shot. Right in there by those little branches. Sometimes the trout, and bass too, will sit and just like try to pick things off as they fall down from little branches, even make them fall off if they can. Well, I'm not getting any action on this one. So, I like the action better, but The fish seem to find the little rubber thing more realistic. It's kind of interesting. I'm not getting any bites with this. All right, well, I'm going to try another spot, and then maybe I'll switch over to something a little different. I'm going to see if I can just walk over and do a quick little cast over there. Although I might just see if I can go back out there, and I'll try in the middle a bit. Actually, I'll do that first. And then I'll hit that far bank. Okay, so what I'm going to try now, you can see this. This is a little cricket pattern. It's got little rubber legs. And it's a little smaller than my hopper. A little brown underneath. And we'll see if this has any luck. Let's get the line down there. You don't ever want to really pull hard on a fishing rod, a fly line, to get line out. You want to, it doesn't come out easily. You want to go up and just sort of pull it out manually. All right. And of course it goes back in. Now it's different color. It's going to be all black. Saw the brown on the bottom, but you know, that's the color of big crickets, right? It's also a little smaller, which might help. If these are small, and it's, oh, these are small fish. It almost looks like something bit on after it. 5 inches behind where it had been. Yeah, this is really casting where I want it to go. Ooh! Well, we had a take. We didn't catch him. And he's still upset. He's still looking for it too. Let's see if we can serve it back up to him. Oh, I think I got one. No! Well, at least we know they're biting at this. It's only a matter of time now. Of course, it could just be these little dace. I'm going for brook trout, and that's why they're not taking a nice big chunk. I seem to recall when I was fishing here last, a couple of months ago, there were some smaller things that were teasingly biting at my lines, but they weren't the big smash. Uh-oh. Yeah, that's my only cricket too. Good. Fell off the tree just like they normally do. Come on. Yeah, that's right where I want it. That's where it was before. Oh, yeah, they're just not. Well, I'm getting bites. That was a bad cast. You know, I'm fishing with an awful lot of line out. Maybe I should just be focusing on something that's real simple like this. Just, you know, giving a quick little toss is not worry about trying to get across the entire pond here. Or beaver pond. That's not a good sign. There's no, I just saw something over there. It looked pretty big too. Maybe a moose. Oh, I'm gonna go back and try over there. That was definitely a big animal over there. Oh no, it's a guy. Can you imagine what I would have thought had that guy been wearing brown or black clothes and walking upright when I first saw him? There's no trail over there, and the underbrush near the edges of these marshy areas is thick, which is why it sounded like a large animal heading in my direction. I said hello as he briskly walked by. I got no reply. What was he doing out there? Okay, so I'm going to try my little cricket over here. I'm getting a little waterlogged. So you almost have to just like that, put it near the lily pads, because I think the fish are they hide from birds and stuff. So they're not going to be out there in the open. Well, this little pool's not as productive as it was last time. I'm going to dry it off and I'll try dabbing a few spots. And then we'll maybe head on down the stream. Okay, so I was packed up and getting ready to head home, and I saw a real serious brook trout rise. Now I think it's over there. That's not, but I was scouting areas where I might be able to cast to it. And I'm actually on top of this old, may not even be old, could be still functional beaver house. It's interesting, the top, I should show you that. The top of it almost has like an air passage to let moisture out, which I thought was really kind of interesting. I don't know if you can really sort of see that, but nonetheless. I don't think I've ever been on top of a beaver house before. But I'm not the first one, because it looks like there's a few places where people have been standing. Now this is a part of the same little pool I was fishing earlier, so I'm going to try that same little cricket and see if I can entice something. I think the brook trout, oh there it is, it just rose again out there. That may be a little too far from this angle considering the wind, but I think it was chasing these smaller fish, to tell you the truth. Now I caught some brook trout right around here, so I'm trying right near these little bushes. I'm not getting much. I can't, it's about 4 o'clock. I can't even see my cricket, it's so dark. And I'm not even getting nibbles from little fish. Everything wants to tangle up with you on your lines when you're out fishing these little kind of places. Ooh, thought I had a bite. My line's getting tangled up. I'm pulling out new line and trying to get it out there. Surprised I actually could get it even that far. Well, now I might have a shot. Ooh, did you see that? Fish and jumping out there? I don't want to be out here too late. Well, those little fish are jumping out there. Look at that. Yeah. What are they jumping from? I'm impressed with this little 6-foot rod. Ooh, I had a bite. Oops. I got way too much line out now. Wonder if I can sneak out on that little peninsula somehow. The fastest way to find out what's going on out there. It looks like I got a chance to check out the Beaver Dam here a little more too, because my fly got caught in this little flower. There was a simple way to get out here. So of course now they're rising much further over. So let's just see. It'd be nice to have a nice colorful fly on so you could see it when it hits the water. So you see what I see. I suspected the fish biting at my hoppers were little minnows. I could have tied on a micro-sized fly and caught one, but that's not what I'm here for. When I saw the minnows jumping out of the water later, it was obvious they were being chased by a larger fish. The water, however, isn't deep. It's full of branches and logs that you would expect in a beaver pond. I would have snagged a streamer had I tried to imitate the small fish the brook trout were targeting. Plus, the brook trout were moving around hunting for their meals, which is typical in flat water. I think I've pounded this pool. I did see some nice big rises earlier and some little fish jumping out of the water. Makes you think there's a shot, but guess not. I'm sure there's still big fish around here somewhere, but they may come out a little later. That was the, if you can see, that's the Beaver Dam over there. That's where I was standing earlier. Well, I'm going to head on downstream and I'm going to try my luck at some of those waterfalls and deeper pools and maybe float a woolly bugger through them, see what happens. Okay, so here we are at that beautiful little pool. Of course, it's getting darker. It's about 5:30 right now. I don't know what they're feeding on. I do see, believe it or not, some kind of a mayfly here. Looks like a sulfur is actually landing and dropping eggs in the water. Remarkable, huh? But there's an old saying in fly fishing when you don't know what fly to use, maybe I should be using sulfurs, it's called when in doubt, woolly bugger them out. So I've got a little bit of a weighted end on this, a little cone, and let's see what happens. You don't want it to sink. So what I'm doing is it's like a streamer fishing. Whoa, I felt like I had a bite. I'm basically casting it in, letting it sink right at the head of the pool, probably good place, and then you strip it in with the line just like that. And they see it as like a bait fit. Wow, something just took a big bite out of that. I think we're going to be fishing here. Should have just stopped here earlier, huh? Wow, something did take a bite out of that. Might almost have been better if nothing had taken a bite out of it. Now I have to stay a little while. And sometimes just as you raise it. Oh, man, I'm getting bites right on the edge here. Oh, I can see the fish. Yeah, there's a big fish, and they are definitely coming right up after it and taking bites at that tail. And got one. Ah! Oh, I had him. Ah. And he felt pretty big too. Oh, I can feel him biting it. No one's taking it. Maybe I got a smaller streamer. Okay, so what I've done, instead of doing the woolly bugger, is I rigged up an emerger with a weight. And hopefully a nice sharp hook. I'd like it to be sharper than that. Some little stuff caught on it. Gotta make sure that all right, so what I'm gonna do is let's see if that'll weight it down, and then I got a bobber, so if I want I can throw it out farther and someone bites at it, I'm gonna know. Oh, there, someone was biting at it. Try that again. It's like the old-fashioned fishing here, right? Fishing with a bobber, but the truth is that they tend to bite when you're pulling it up, like it's emerging. And they seem to be more active when I'm back a little further here. Hiding behind the rocks seems to be a little better. This is actually where a longer rod can actually... Oh man, I keep feeling something. I'm gonna have to make this hook sharper. There's something definitely biting it. They're real good. See, they don't seem to be biting it when it floats by. It's only when it starts to move up, which is like the bug sort of emerging, that they get attracted. Let me sharpen that hook. You can't take chances. It seemed like it was a little dull. I don't know, the fish may have tasted the steel a couple of times and said, oh, I'm not into this game. And I'm not getting bites right now. Another method I could use is I could take the bobber off and it'll sink deeper, and then I throw it up there right by the but it seemed like it was biting right by this little ledge. You know, some people say the bobber scares them. Ooh. Oh, and I thought I had him earlier too. Ah. I'll take the bobber off.
I don't normally pound a stream this hard after missing a couple of good strikes, and I did miss some. But at this point, I didn't have time to let the pool rest or to keep changing flies. When I finally did change my fly, I wondered if I had tied the tail on my woolly bugger a little longer than normal, and might explain why I was getting bites and no hookups. That and the fact that the fly looked pretty beat up. I'm definitely coming back to this pool and giving it the fishing attention it deserves. That I deserve.
Okay, a few more casts and then I gotta head out. It's gonna be getting dark. And I still got about 1.5 miles to go, easily. So we didn't catch any fish, but we had a chance to check out the upper pond, at least, this time. And we did try some hoppers. And some nymphs, mergers, and had some bites. There's definitely fish here, but not easy to catch. Got to make sure those hooks are really sharp and be willing to try a lot of things. So time to take this knapsack off and pack up and go home.